Thank you for helping. So inspiring millions, a fun, fast, and easy way to gain expert status and grow your reach. You can go to the next slide. So I'm Anne-Sophie Dumetz, and I'll introduce myself through the presentation. But I'd love to know who here would love to be on Oprah. Does anybody aspire to that? Not the whole room? Wait, show of hands again. I just want to see roughly how many people that is. Okay, that's about like 30 to 40% of the room. Okay, that's a pretty good show of hands typically, and your number of women are excited to be featured and seen by bigger audiences. But I'd love to know why. Like if you were on Oprah, some of you who put up their hands, why would you want to be on Oprah? What would that give you? What would happen if you went on Oprah? Does anybody want to pitch something in? Yeah?
I'd love to share my passion about what I do.
Share your passion about what you do, yeah. And so be heard by a broader audience as you share your passion. Anything else? What else would happen? Why would you want to be on Oprah?
When Oprah advocates, people will buy.
Basically, so when she endorses, people buy. Yeah, so you get a huge, massive endorsement. So you can go to the next slide. Lovely remote. So yeah, what would that kind, oh, I have an extra S. What would that kind of visibility and reach create in your biz? I have a bit of ADD dyslexia, so sometimes I just don't see stuff. That said, it's part of my creative genius. So it would give you extra credibility and expert status. You would have a wider audience, like what we talked about just now. That endorsement means you're trusted by many. And trust is something that can do, that can make magic happen in your business, in your life. And it would really remove a lot of hurdles to getting clients. I haven't heard of anybody who's been on Oprah who's had a hard time getting yeses, opportunities, and clients. And I'm using Oprah as an example, but the idea is when you're being featured by someone who already is established and has an audience. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. You can keep going. So, but are you Oprah ready? Who here would be like, imagine the phone rings at 10 a.m., like at the end of this meeting, and they're saying, oh my God, I heard about you. I really want you to come down to, I think, Chicago, and you're going to be our guest expert tomorrow on the show. Who would be ready here in this room? A few hands, yay! That's fantastic. So here are a few things that I believe you really need to be ready to get featured, to be featured in media. And my definition of media is not just broadcast media like TV and radio. It can be somebody's podcast, it can be somebody's platform that they've already created and have an audience. So what you need is a clear, compelling message and sexy sound bites so that when you open your mouth, people are like, yeah, I want what she's saying. That sounds really good. Easily featurable. You have captivating and inspiring stories. You've done your homework. You have stories that move the masses, that get your message out in a way that makes you and everybody else feel good. Leverageable, actionable, and creates connection. So whatever you're sharing is not only a win for, you know, the person who's featuring you is excited to feature you, but the audience is like, wow, that's awesome, and you're winning out of it. A lot of people will end up getting media opportunities and being featured, but then there's no clear next step. It's like, that was the big win. But the big win is supposed to happen afterwards. So it's there. You need to have a long-term vision and strategy of what you're going to be doing next. Yeah, and also you want to be, you know, just feeling good, charismatic, captivating, and have a lot of truth. Be authentic, be yourself. The worst thing you can do is get featured and try to be somebody else. One of the talks I give is about stop building somebody else's dream. That means that you're putting a lot of energy and passion doing something that's not meant for you. Your voice is authentic to you. Your messages are authentic to you. And even though lots of people are doing this kind of work of featuring themselves, there's more than enough room in the world for you and whatever it is that you have to offer. So next slide. They're a little hard to read. All right, so today we're going to really look at uncover one top strategy that changemakers use to emerge as thought leaders and inspire many, many people by becoming international sensations and role models. But it's not just about, you know, going big and global. This is a strategy you can use locally too. And yes, you can use your voice to inspire many, many, many people and grow your know, like, and trust factor. And this is all, my passion is about working with women who are here to do work that spreads love and changes lives. And it really starting with spreading love in your own heart, but at the same time, like, why not fill your bank account too, right? So why not? So you can go to the next slide. So this strategy that we're going to talk about, so I don't know if any of you read the blurb. I said in my blurb, the description of this talk, I said, what is this one thing that Oprah, Ellen, and Barbara Walters have used to become international sensations? So we're going to uncover that today. And I specifically didn't tell you because I wanted to see if someone could guess. But this strategy can work for different people. So it can work for a variety of personality styles, and it's not a cookie cutter approach. It can be local or global. So personally, I've used this strategy throughout my life since my early 20s to both get full-time jobs when I was still in that zone, and also to get clients. And my furthest client now that came as a result of this strategy is in New Zealand. And I have some that are in Ontario, some that are here locally. So it's a strategy that can work if it's right for you. I think it's fast, fun, and easy because it doesn't require doing all of the prep for example, being on a stage like this. So it's a little bit easier than public speaking, and it is not public speaking. And you can do it in any outfit, including your pajamas if you want, and it'll still work. So we'll go to the next slide. So any guess on what I'm talking about? What strategy? Webinars? Okay. Interviewing, yeah, that's the one I'm focusing on. It's interviewing. So interviewing is a powerful tool, and I'm not going to go into like how you interview and how you score interviews. That's like just a longer topic than this. But my goal today is just to inspire you, to show you that this is possible. So let's go next. Ramon? Thank you. So yeah, it is not talent specific. Some people think that to get featured and be interviewed, you have to be special, have some kind of talent. This is something that you can learn. So I went to journalism school, and I started to interview at that point in the media, but then also in the academic realty. I studied women's studies, and in that capacity, I interviewed many women to understand what are their stories, what does it mean, how can we use it to empower them. The result of some of my work got published in some magazines as well, but the interview is a really rich format to create deep connections. And these are all skills that I didn't have before I tried. So it is learnable, actionable, achievable, and it is a skill set that you can learn to be on either the question asker or the person being featured. So yeah, why am I talking about this? Quick intro. So I said, like, I've done women's studies, journalism. I now work as a coach. I keep struggling with what do I name myself? You know what? Like, I'm Anne-Sophie. I just have this mixed bag of experiences where I really focus on people's possibilities and the strategy for you to build the story that you're here to build, the business that you're here to build, and make sense of what your path is. So if you have a rock bottom, let's use that as your rock solid foundation for whatever's next. So why not? And what's the next slide? I don't remember what I put in. Oh yeah, I thought I'd show you a few photos. This is me back in like my 20s. I was on a TV show. I was a columnist on a video TV show, and I also hosted an arts show. And totally the way that all this happened back in Ottawa was quote unquote serendipitous. You know, people would see like, how are you doing all these opportunities? Like I asked. Like first of all is I believed it was possible, and I asked. So the goal of this talk is to make you start to believe that it's possible for you to create these opportunities if you want them. This is a podcast that's about to come out this week that I'm being featured on. This one is an interview where I featured a really well-known business coach on one of my platforms, and in so doing, she featured me to her audience, which is really great. Like it's like instant street cred. And then this is at a speaking gig. So I've had this breadth of experience, and until not long ago I was like, what is the point of women's studies and journalism and communications and marketing? Like I didn't understand the story. But by really looking back and figuring out like, what is my changemaker story? How have I been the change I've wanted to create in my world? Was I able to see like, oh right, like that learning to ask a question and understands women's stories means that this is a gift I can now move forward into the world. But it requires this looking back to look forward and understanding, like making sense of your story as the heroine of the story rather than the person to whom it's happening to. Can you move on? And Yeah, so how do you go from wanting to have the reach, the clarity, and the clout to really being a featured expert? Like just yesterday, I received an invite in my inbox that unprompted, like, hey, we'd love to add your voice to this event. It would be awesome. Like, sweet, I don't have to run to them anymore. I still ask, but there's stuff that's coming my way. The first part has been believing that it's gonna happen. So next step. So the first step is becoming a change maker. I work with female change makers. My brand is called She's a Changemaker, and it's really for these women entrepreneurs who were little girls who said, I want to grow up to change the world, and then maybe found themselves in their 20s or 30s and going, crap, I'm not there yet. That's my story. My little girl asked me when she was 4, what can I be when I grow up? And I told her, you can be anything you want. And realized, shit, I'm not doing that for myself. So it was a big life change of quitting my federal government career, like my big salary, and just reinventing my life from the bottom up to be the kind of woman I hope she can become someday, so she can have a role model that's close to home. And so the change maker, I think, is stepping into your life's leading role and really starting to trust yourself, your intuition, creating some time to hear whatever is the strategy that your heart and your soul is asking you to create in your life. For me, I'm meant to be visible. The archetype is kind of like the star creator, the person who's in front of people. So that's fits for me. Other people have different way of creating their business. So that's fine. It's just understanding what's right for you and starting to feature yourself in that way, but also starting to become the change that you crave. So if a woman is spending a lot of time dishing out advice to lots of people and then being frustrated that nobody's taking it, chances are she's not being the change she's asking people to be, and she needs to be that role model for herself first, and by her actions, other people will be inspired to follow in her footsteps. So it's really about that authentically owning and claiming your value so that you can then take it onto the broader stage. So yeah, I like to think about a change maker as a superhero to her soul tribe. She has a big heart, she gives big, but she gives to herself too. She's the one who kind of owns her super talent, her gift, and uses that superpower to change lots of lives in a positive way, but is okay being celebrated as well. Is not gonna be shy to receive the accolades and get paid well and all of that. Okay, so this is a little drawing that I made just last week. So part of my process in evolving my business is creative too, and just creating some space. So it's not perfect, but that's the only drawing I had of it. But this is basically the 6 areas of being a change maker. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but the first one is that authenticity, being 100% you. The second one is what I want to focus on is around really tapping into your core message and your change maker story. And so telling your story in a way that feels powerful to you and powerful to the people with whom you share it. The third part here is about starring yourself. So not necessarily waiting for an opportunity to show up, but creating it for yourself in whatever way that means. That blue circle there is connecting to your people. Your people is those people you're meant to change. So the clients are those people whose life you're meant to change, and the colleagues are the people with whom you're meant to do that work with. So those are your true people. They're kind of waiting for you to show up, and if you don't show up as yourself, they can't find you. That purple circle is about owning your change maker status. So that's about really shifting into the space of, yes, I am an expert, and just stepping into it and moving and reinventing your life from that perspective. And that last part is the give, the big give. Everybody has a project of where they want to give. For me, I haven't fully stepped into that, but I know that I have a project that's about spreading love and changing lives, and is there a love fund that will be created to gather some money where I can fund projects that spread love and change lives for people who just are inspired but don't know where to start. So that's a bit of the path of the change maker. My core focus in my business is about the story and the message and how you can use it to connect with your people. Because that is really the first hack to finding yourself. I used to think my business was find myself first and then do the work, but it's actually do the work and then find myself through the work. And so the personal growth happened through the business growth. Okay, we'll keep going. I will talk about interviews, but this is what needs to happen behind the stage. I don't think we have time to watch my little video, but I was going to show you. So A lot of people stop themselves from featuring themselves. I like set up my iPhone like the way that I have it there at home, hit record and broadcast myself to the world like any day. Like right now, we're Facebook Live, we're being live streamed all over the world right now. So maybe what I'll do is I actually have sheets for people who want to receive my slides and the videos and notes on the table. So if you want to sign up for that, I'll be able to send you all of that. Okay, keep going.
Oh, do I just hit this?
Yeah, I think you have to hit pause and then next.
Help me with that, please. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I think. First pause.
Yeah.
Or next.
Okay, let's just,
Can
maybe
I
it would have
arrow
been simple.
forward?
Just mouse to the technical difficulty with myself. Okay, hold on.
Better?
So our focus is to hack on your credibility. So like I said, it's you're connecting to your core message, which happens through really uncovering it. The fastest way to uncover it for me is through that interview, when you have somebody who can ask you the questions that you want to ask but you haven't asked, or asking them in a new light. And then how do you use it to connect to your people? And the thing that happens with interviews, so one interview can give you a shit ton of content, and that is so leverageable, but most people will do interviews and then do nothing with it. As an example, an academic example, I interviewed one woman DJ for 1 hour. I created a 98-page paper from it, and then I got myself featured in the media from it. And that's like small example, but people don't usually leverage their content or their time with interviews. We'll keep going, because I know I've got 3 minutes left. Okay. Okay, step 2. Get clear, get seen, and get paid to change lives using interviews. So it is that clarity is important. Who are you? What am I here to share? Who am I going to connect with? Next slide, yeah. So why interviews? So I think it's if you want your voice to matter, it's important to start to speak with people or feature people whose voice already matters. So when I interviewed some people who are, I don't know, 3 to 5 years ahead of me in their business, or have an audience of over 100,000 people when I have like hundreds, is when I started. Did that help my credibility with my clients? Like, hell yeah. So it doesn't have to be Oprah. You can start with where you are, but identifying who your ideal client is, whose life are you here to change, and who are the voice that matter to them, and figuring out strategically, how do I start to associate myself to these people? So it's strategic, but it's also soulful, and you know, it has to be authentic. It can't just be an ego-based strategy. So we can just watch this. It's really short. So this is Anne Perry, the founder of the business Heroine magazine. And I first met her by paying her to be featured on her platform. So sometimes there are paid gigs like that. So I paid her for her to interview me and feature an article by me. Just skip it. We don't have time. But one of the strategies I use in my interviews with changemakers, I ask them questions a little differently. Instead of saying, tell me your story, I'll ask, tell me the moment when you knew you were building the wrong dream, and what did you do about it? So those questions, when I ask them to people who've been interviewed tons of times, they'll be like, wow, that's such a unique way of asking it. So automatically, it's a win for everyone. It's the person sounding better, I'm sounding good, and my audience getting a better story. So it's a triple win. Just skip it.
I'm still trying.
But I'll tell you more about Anne. So what happened? Shit, 1 minute? Damn it. So with Anne Perry, what happened is that I paid her to interview her, to be interviewed by her, nurtured the relationship, and fast forward a bunch of some time, I then interviewed her, and she asked me to be a featured columnist in Business Heroine magazine. So I have a monthly column there. That all happened from creating those connections. And as a result of her wanting to promote my work, I got my client in New Zealand. So all that happened. You can't. That's okay. Another example is I interviewed Kate Newker in Vancouver. She's well known in the Vancouver entrepreneur circle. So I interviewed her. We got to really like each other. And when she put on an event for moms, entrepreneurial moms, and I was really focused on parents at the time, she had lots of speaker applications, but she asked me specifically to come. And so when you interview people, what happens, it's like going on a date with someone. You get to really know each other, like each other, understand each other. There's a soulful connection. So you can get really smart in using interviews to be a tool for super connection, like really soulfully connecting to the people you're meant to work with, but also to leverage your brand and really leverage your message and start to, you know, use one opportunity to create another one, and so on and so forth. I have so many more stories, but I'm out of time. I'm getting the big X from Robin. So that said, I put on the table my sheet with, if you want to give me your email, I will respect it, but send you my notes. And if you want to discuss how a strategy like that could work for you, I have a limited number of Changemaker strategic magic sessions. So it's about really connecting to you and what you want to do and your message. So you can just tell me and I'll just send you the application form. It's not right for everybody, but featuring yourself, both as a guest and a host, is a strategy that will change the way that you build your business, and it'll make it a lot faster, funner, and easier. Plus, you can do it in your PJs working from home. So I really recommend it.
Bold and authentic. Thank you, Anne-Sophie.
Bold, authentic, good, yes.